Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing the Line. Bonus holes. How many of you have got a bonus hole? I didn't know they existed, but apparently we're changing the name of vaginas to bonus holes. I don't know many women that are going to be pretty happy with that, because a bonus hole seems pretty derogatory to me. I don't know about you. That's a fantastic name though. We'll just go with it. I mean, there's plenty of names for a penis. There's plenty of names for a vagina, but putting it down to a bonus hole seems a bit derogatory to me. I don't know about you, but we'll get into the story here from the Daily Mail. Bonus holes, as holes go, they are arguably the most important in the world. Julie Bindel says women's health charity is guilty of nothing short of misogyny, again with inclusive new term for vaginas. This is going to be fun. Women are getting eradicated from society by trans movement and the LGBT mafia, and it's entertaining to watch all the feminists try to navigate around what their beliefs are and not come out as TERFs or transphobic or homophobic in any sort of the sense. Especially the lesbian feminists, because I know a lot of the feminists are probably lesbians, or they at least just hate men. But how are they going to wrap their head around this kind of stuff? We'll see. As holes goes, are they arguably the most important in the world. Every man and every woman who have ever lived, except for those born by cesarean section, has sprung forth into this world from one. And yet a charity dedicated to women's health, Joe's Cervical Cancer Trust, it's a cervical cancer, oh my god, is suggesting that the word vagina could be referred to as the bonus hole to avoid offending and excluding trans men or non-binary people. These people need to be taken out of power. Whoever come up with this idea should be sacked. They should go to a psychiatrist. I don't know. Go and touch grass or something. What? Come on. As a feminist campaigner, I am appalled, and I've spent time over the decades trying to raise awareness among women about our bodies. I've encouraged women to unlearn the shame associated with our biology. So the idea that we should stop referring to the vagina by its name is grossly offensive. I grew up absorbing the message about our bodies were dirty. We could use euphemisms to describe its part because vagina and even breast was considered unpleasant. I mean, if a chick in bed goes, oh, touch my vagina or my vulva, touch my breast, it might be might throw you off a little bit. I don't know. Pussy's a good word for it. Titty's a great word. Titty's a fun word. I recall back in the 80s buying tampons only to have the shopkeeper quickly put the box in a brown paper bag as it was a porn magazine. But we feminists learn to take pride in our physical form. Yes, you do that by not shaving your armpits. That's fantastic. More power to you. I would shake the tampons out of the bag and make the point when I was not ashamed of menstruating. After all, it's really half of the population. It's worth noting that the form of Carthite censorship is reserved for descriptions of female anatomy only. That is why it is nothing short of misogyny. There is no such suggestion, of course, to swap words that men use to describe their biology. Perhaps, to be fair, we should change penis to flesh roll. That's not a good one. Pork sword, maybe. Pork sword. We could do pork sword. To avoid offending trans, that might be offensive to Muslims. I'm sure, or Jews as well. I'm sure men won't object. Just a thought, though. As a cancer charity is accused of dehumanizing women with a new inclusive language, it's a bonus hole, the craziest euphemism yet in the trans debate. A cancer charity has been accused of dehumanizing women after advising medics to refer to the vagina as a bonus hole to avoid upsetting transgender men. So, you're a cervical cancer. It was cervical cancer, wasn't it? It was cervical cancer trust, right? You're not going to be talking to trans men. Which one's a trans man? Is that the one? There's the dude that's pretending to be a woman. Or is it the woman pretending to be a dude? I don't know. But if they've got a cervix, I'm sure they can deal with the word vagina. I mean, they are a woman. Joe's Cervical Cancer Trust features a glossary on its website detailing the correct language that healthcare professionals should use when dealing with trans men, women who identify as men. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the one, trans men. All right. As well as the bonus hole, it also suggests that the term front hole... oh, how's your front hole? Oh, as an alternative to vagina, the use of which is claimed may leave patients feeling hurt or distressed. Fuck 'em. You don't die if you get offended, remember? Like, you don't just... This was a joke, that comedian, I forget his name, Steve Hughes or something like that, who says, you don't wake up, you get offended in the morning, I woke up with leprosy. It's, it doesn't happen. Women's Right campaigner last night rounded on Joe's, the UK's only charity dedicated to women affected by cervical cancer. Bev Jackson from the LGB Alliance said the disgusting language like this, which intentionally dehumanises women, must be rejected by all reasonable peoples. The fact is, women have vaginas. It's appalling that anyone would think that reality is offensive. If you think it's offensive, then that's your problem. There is no reason for the rest of society to adapt our language so not to offend people who are offended by reality. Some people wish to ignore the very clear biological difference between men and women. The term features the section on Joe's website specifically for medical professionals entitled Language to Use When Supporting Trans Men or Non-Binary People. It is drawn, if non-binary people or trans men, they're still women. I mean, if you're treating them for cervical cancer, I'm sure they've got bigger issues on their mind. If they get offended, it's not going to cause their cancer to flare up. It was drawn up with a partnership with the LGBT Foundation, a campaign group calling for a world where queer liberation enables meaningful and lasting change. Fuck your meaningful and lasting change. I'm sorry. No one cares anymore. You guys are going too far with this shit. You're trying to change the name of vagina to a front hole or a... What the hell? Man, it's a cervical cancer foundation. If you're talking to a doctor and they don't have the gall or the intelligence to use a medically appropriate term with you, go and find another doctor. Caroline Fisk, a fan of conservative women, said that the gender movement seems actively to want to encourage body disassociation and hatred. In other words, to actively create more confused young people alienated with their own physical and their own sex. What better way to use this utterly dehumanizing language about our own bodies? To mind it is grooming, create the unease and disassociation with alienation. When you have done that, you step in with euphoric rhetoric about trans joy. That's fucking a valid point. Of course, this will be doing not around. Those doing this will not be around to pick up the pieces when the young bodies are irreversibly damaged and the young lives destroyed. There are a mechanism where these charities promoting harm could be struck off. Kelly J. Keane, founder of Standing for Women, said that the whole thing is loathsome, but the bonus hole and front hole are so misogynist. If a woman is so triggered by the word vagina, I should imagine she needs psychiatric help rather than the world bent to her never-ending list of irrational demands. Well, women are kind of known for being irrational. You should think that the charities would have better things to do than erase female language, especially when your whole bread and butter is female. Like, it's not like, I mean, I can imagine a brothel putting bonus hole on the front, like, oh, it's $25 to use the bonus hole, but that wouldn't be the vagina, would it? It'd be the other one. Joe, set up by the London businesswoman James Maxwell and a member of his wife Jo, who died at the age of 40 from cervical cancer in 1999. Its current chief executive is Samantha Dixon, who has worked for a string of charities, including the Princess Trust. Last night, Joe's spokesman said the women are a main audience at Joe's. However, some trans men and non-binary people have cervixes, and to reduce as many cervical cancers as possible, it is important that we provide information for the group and health professionals who support them. That'd be a really ironic way to die, wouldn't it be? Non-binary or a trans man getting cervical cancer. It's like if a dude, trans woman got testicular cancer, and it's kind of in the name. You are what you are. You can put all the words in front holes and bonus holes and trans this and trans that in front of it, or whatever you want to do, non-binary. But the reality is, you're either a man or a woman, unless you're one of those fruity little alien people that are born halfway in between, which happens. But you can either accept reality, or you can start using those disgusting words like front hole or bonus hole, and then you just don't get any of the other benefits. Like So if you're going to be using those words and you're trying to be gender non-conforming or gender non-binary, maybe that you go, oh, wait, I've got cervical cancer. Oh, no, you don't. You're a man, aren't you? You can't have cervical cancer if you're a man. But I was born yeah, but you're a man now. You can't get cervical cancer if you're a man. What are you doing? I don't know. Women are losing everything they have. I mean, like all the women's suffrage, the burning bras, the whole like, oh, we want to vote thing. Maybe get back in the kitchen. I don't know. You guys are losing to the LGBT because they scream louder than the rest of you. That's for sure. I don't know what you're supposed to do about it. I mean, you say anything about it, you're a transphobe, you're a TERF. I mean, look what they did to J.K. Rowling, for God's sake. She has been put through the ringer. Part of her own problem, but you know, women are losing everything they have. Women are losing everything they fought for, and it's been taken from them, generally by gay trans men, I suppose. What are you doing? Leave them alone, for God's sakes. I mean, they're not getting any more love from people, are they? I mean, going and making women use the term, chest feeder, birthing person, front hole, whatever it is. That's disgusting language to be forcing people to use because you might offend someone. Because I guarantee you're going to offend more people saying that. It's fucked up. And if you didn't know it was happening in Australia, here's your evidence, here's your proof. 13-year-olds are getting mastectomies due to gender dysphoria here in Australia. They're going under the knife just because a psychiatrist, after one session, says that they have gender dysphoria and that the only and best option they have is going and getting surgery and starting hormone blockers and so forth. So we're going to take a look at this story here from the Daily Mail. Let's get into it. Inside the world of teenage transitions in Australia, where 13-year-olds are having their breasts removed after one letter from a psychiatrist, which teens can't even do in Thailand, and mums humble brag with before and after pics on Facebook. That's probably the most disturbing thing. I mean, if my kid came out as gay or transgender or something along those lines and it was only 13, I would be asking a lot of questions, because I know at 13, I'm pretty sure I wanted to be an astronaut or an army soldier or some sort of thing like that. And I definitely didn't have any thought of the future at 13 anyway. Australian girls as young as 13 are allegedly having their breasts surgically removed to make them look and feel more masculine as they undergo gender transition surgery. Australian girls as young as 13 are allegedly having their breasts surgically removed to make them look and feel more masculine as they undergo gender transition. One 15-year-old who has gender dysphoria documented having a double mastectomy in Australian plastic surgery clinic in a Reddit post. Describing experience as a 10 out of 10, the teen encouraged other adolescents who do not identify with the same sex as they were assigned at birth to undergo the same operation. The teen wrote an initial appointment with a surgeon in January lasted no more than 20 minutes, and a follow-up to take measurements took the similar length of time. The teen then called a psychiatrist requesting a referral for chest masculinization and sometimes called top surgery, and was told that it was unavailable for the next 11 months. You see the disgusting Facebook posts there. It's pretty disturbing. I mean, yes, you can be happy for your child accepting who they are, things like that. But when they're 13 and 15 years old, they don't know who they are yet, and they definitely don't have the mental capacity to go and get life-altering, and because you can't fix it. Like, they say, oh, hormone blockers are completely reversible, which is just completely wrong. You can't stuff up your entire hormones regimen and puberty at that age and not have some sort of drastic side effects. But when the teen had told the psychiatrist they'd already had a surgery date booked, he offered an appointment for a couple of months later. After just one consultation with the psychiatrist in May, the psychiatrist allegedly wished the teen luck and wrote a referral for a double mastectomy. The teen had spent 2 years saving up for the surgery, which took place on the 18th of June, and the parents covered the rest of $14,873 bill. Another teenager recently underwent a double mastectomy, was pictured smiling on Facebook with a post with his mother. 70-year-old mums wrote, "My baby's top surgery was Today, it went well. He was so excited, still in recovery, but surgeon said it went well. Another mother replied that she'd been planning taking a 70-year-old to Thailand for the same procedure, but when he turned 18, the surgeons there would not perform the operation on anyone under 20. They won't do the surgery in Thailand on anyone under 20, but in Australia, we're doing it to 13 to 15-year-olds. A senior child and adolescent psychiatrist, Dr. Gillian Spencer, said that the Australian psychiatrists and surgeons who were recommending and performing such operations, Dr. Spencer said that young people requested approval letters from psychiatrists and they did not get what they want. They would post negative reviews on social media and go elsewhere. It is very concerning that there are a very small number of child psychiatrists in Australia whose clinical practices deviates markedly from those of their colleagues, Dr. Spencer said. The child psychiatrists are providing approval letters and allowing adolescents to go chest surgery, masculinization, mastectomies after as little as only one appointment. The names and contact details of the child psychiatrists are shared by the adolescents on social media to allow other adolescents to follow the same pathway to easily obtain surgery. Dr. Spencer said the psychiatrists who want to undertake the ongoing assessment of adolescents with gender dysphoria risk being publicly labelled as transphobic. She said an automatically affirming child's beliefs about their gender identity and giving them referrals for life-changing surgery without thorough examination was a radical approach. Adolescents often have unrealistic fantasies and cosmetic outcome of surgery, Dr. Spencer said of the children presenting with gender dysphoria. When a 15-year-old adolescent sits in front of them, no child psychiatrist has any other way of determining if the adolescent's gender dysphoria will desist or persist over the coming years. They struggle to understand the serious risks in surgery, such as hemorrhage infections, anaphylaxis, and anesthetic. They think these things could never happen to them. They also struggle to understand how debilitating persistent chest numbness, scarring, and phantom nipple pain could be. I didn't know there was such a thing as phantom nipple pain, but there you go. Dr. Spencer said that adolescents at the time of the development, many young people believe that they are felt now and how they would feel for the rest of their lives. 15 is too young to be making a decision that can have such profound long-term consequences, she said. See, these people are blackmailing their psychiatrists and doctors to signing off on their transgender and chest surgeries. Otherwise, they're going to be labelled as transphobic or homophobic on media and their whole business could be ruined. Isn't that just a lovely little tactic that they're using? These parents should have their children forcibly removed from them. These doctors should have their licenses revoked and be put under investigation. These children should be put in psychiatric care until they can determine whether they are actually gender dysphoric or are they just subject to TikTok's algorithm, YouTube, and all that crap that is just being pushed on social media, and they're being tricked into thinking that they're the wrong gender. Because the numbers don't lie. It used to be less than 1% of the population was gay, non-binary, or whatever you want to call it now. It was queer. It's quadrupled. It's like something like 12 to 15% in, I think it was New Zealand. It was like 12% in Australia. It's roughly the same. It's exploded. And the advent of social media and this LGBT mafia and gay pride pushing agenda onto children has blown up those numbers, and it's brainwashing young children that have no idea of the future, no idea of what consequences are yet, into believing just because they're going through a hormonal change and going through what we all used to call puberty, but now they're calling it some sort of profound traumatic experience. They're getting brainwashed and pushed into these things because they think that's what's wrong with them. But when we went through puberty, even to someone of our age, millennials or anyone before these Gen Z kids, we went through puberty. We accepted what happened. It wasn't easy for any of us. It was confusing. It was weird. Do you know how hard it is being a 13, 15-year-old, whatever it is, 16-year-old, when you're a male, and how horny you are? My God, I'm sure girls go through the same thing, but just from my perspective, being a 14 to 15-year-old male and having those hormones pumping through you every single day to the point where you just feel like you're going to explode because you're so bloody horny and you just don't know what to do about it, besides the obvious. It's very, very traumatic, I suppose, is what Gen Z would call it. But it's life. That's how life works. That's how the human body's designed. That's how we've evolved. That's what we all have to go through. You don't get to just put puberty blockers on and go to a psychiatrist and get your tits cut off because TikTok told you to. It's insane. These parents should have their kids taken from them. And I don't say that lightly. Like, the government should have no personal information on us. They shouldn't be involved in our lives to the bare minimum, if anything. It's absolutely none of their business what we do as people and what we do with our own children. But this is when they're hurting children. They are actively hurting children. They are surgically altering them because of a fantastical idea that they're a different gender. When they have no idea, they might grow up and they might get to 20 years old or something like that, and they might go, well, do you know what? Yes, I still think I'm in the wrong body. Go and get it done then. Don't do it when you're 13 or 15. That's insane. And if they're doing it when they're 13 and 15, how much longer do we have before they go and do it when they're younger? When they do it prepubescent? Because I've seen plenty of videos of people affirming their kids as trans when they're 2 and 3. And it just so happens to be 99% of those people that are doing that are some sort of queer. They're either lesbian, they're a gay couple or something like that, or they're trans themselves. It just miraculously happens that their kid comes out as trans at the age of 2 when they're still shitting their pants and can't talk. It's insanity. These people need to have their kids taken from them. That's what else do you do in this situation where they're going in, putting their kids through a meat grinder to go and get surgery? If you were trans, if you feel like you were born in the wrong body, I have no idea what that feels like, but that's up to you to decide at an acceptable age. I think if you're 16 and you're still going through puberty and you think you're in the wrong body, you probably don't know any better just yet. Wait until you're 18, 20. Think about it, because even at 20 years old, you still have no idea what the world's about. You have no idea what's going on, but at least then you can have informed consent on the matter. I mean, these children do not have any idea what they're signing themselves up for. The amount of detransitioners that are popping up from this exact situation, their parents pushed them into it, or at least led them to this surgery and hormone blockers and all these things. And they're coming out of it now at the age of 25, 30 and older, saying that was the biggest mistake in my life and I wish I never did it. You do not know what you were doing when you were 12, 13, 14, 15. You have no idea. You can't think about anything other than your hormones and what they're telling you to think about. It's a stupid idea that they want us to decide what we want to do for the rest of our life as a career at that age, let alone what they want us to physically alter our bodies to be like. I didn't want to be doing what I do when I was that age. I wanted to be an astronaut or something stupid along those lines. I definitely did not think that I would still be an astronaut today, obviously. Who the hell wants to go into outer space? That's insane. It'd be like going to the bottom of the ocean in a tiny little cheap-ass submarine. It's very, very dangerous. Make sure they're using at least an Xbox controller, not a Logitech controller or something along those lines. We'll keep reading this fucked up story, shall we? At 15, a young person has likely not experienced a full course of physical puberty and is unlikely to complete all the developmental tasks in adolescence, which can assist in healing gender dysphoria. After seeing the 15-year-old girl's Reddit post, women's rights advocate Leah Whitston made 2 phone calls to the clinic to confirm if it was true. Both times, she was told the clinic would perform top surgery on girls as young as 13 if they had a referral letter from a psychiatrist written in the past 3 months. I felt sick to myself. I can't even get a referral from a doctor to go and get help with weight loss. You know, go and get a tablet or something along those lines. They just look at you and go, no, just, figure it out. I'm like, yeah, I know that. Obviously, it's pretty fucking simple how to lose weight. It's not hard science, but maybe because of my shitty lifestyle and my health issues, I might be able to get a little medical help. But no, they just go, no, they go do it. But if I went in there and said, I want to get my dick cut off and I want to get a nice pocket pussy put in, they'd probably be like, oh, fucking, here you go, bro. Here's a couple of fucking referrals. Go and get your snatch put in. Jesus Christ. I felt sick to my stomach, Mr. Whiston said. It is just evil. That I know it's wrong. They must be psychopaths to do this to young girls. Dr. Spencer said that there is an overwhelming pressure on doctors to support childhood medical transition at the risk of professional sanction. I assure you, this is not part of the culture war, she told a Women's Right Forum in Sydney last week. This is a really serious child protective issue. Adjunct Associate Professor Carleen Gribble, that's a terrible name, from Western Sydney University Institute School, midwifery and research of the first study of the trans man who shared his pain at not being able to breastfeed his baby. Professor Gribble said that he had spoken to women who did not understand the complexity of breast structure when they had the chest masculinization mastectomies. It had not been made clear to them that surgery would mean that they would not be able to breastfeed. I have seen the discussions amongst young people online suggesting they would believe that the surgeries can be reversed, and even in some cases the breast tissue will regrow if it comes off testosterone. 18-year-old Deeser just asked me if there was any way that she could breastfeed, even use a breastfeeding supplementer. It was heartrending to need to explain to her that given the type of surgery she had described about her nipple grafts would unlikely, and I could offer her empathy for her grief. That's terrifying. They get to an age where they want to have kids and they have a child, and then they find out then that they can't breastfeed and they'll never be able to breastfeed their child. These doctors are not informing children, not that these children, even if they were informed, would be able to make an appropriate decision on the matter. They're not informing them that they will never be able to breastfeed again. They go and tell them that if they just get off the testosterone, they'll be right. That's insane. And a lawyer and female legal clinic was involved in the first case against a psychiatrist who approved the removal of a 90-year-old's breast after just one appointment. Jay Langdianitis later regretted the procedure and is suing the psychiatrist for professional negligence. Ms. Kerr said that the protections of vulnerable young people, such as medical treatments, were inadequate and varied from state to state. In a case in 2020, known as Imogen, the Family Court clarified medical practitioners cannot proceed with gender-affirming treatment for a minor without the consent of both parents. Unfortunately, obtaining consent from vulnerable young people and their concerned parents is only too easy for those ostensibly wielding medical authority, Ms. Kerr said. Indeed, the recent introduction of gay conversion therapy bans, which have been inappropriately extended to cover gender identity, effectively mandate gender-affirming treatments. However, any health practitioner acting in good conscience could be guided by their duty of care in patients for foreseeable harm of life-altering surgeries hastily undertaken in youth. So, at least there's some way about it. They can go and sue the doctors, and they should. If a doctor goes and cuts off parts of your body because you had one appointment with a psychiatrist and they told you that you were the wrong gender, you should be able to sue that psychiatrist because they are completely inept at their job. Any psychiatrist, any medical practitioner would have to have multiple meetings with a person, get to know that person, get to know what their life is like, get to know what they do, get to know how they feel before they go and get something as massively life-altering as gender-reaffirming care, as they call it, or as we like to call it, mastectomy surgery, getting a penis cut off, all sorts of things. They're not like little, it's gender-affirming care. It's not like they take you into a booth and they just pamper you and tell you you're going to be okay. They take a knife to you, they put you under anesthetic, they knock you out, maybe even put you in a coma, and you're a child, and they're cutting body parts off of you that can never regrow, then pumping hormones into you that are altering your body chemistry forever. And they just call it gender reaffirming care because it sounds nice, because everything has to be this fake facade of love and care when all it is about pushing an insane ideology onto children to capture them at a young age, when they're most vulnerable and when they're least likely to know what they're doing. This is grooming on a different kind of level. It's insane. These people should have their kids taken from them. The doctors should be fired, arrested, sent to prison if found guilty of malpractice, and these children should be rescued from these insane ideologues. It's disgusting. We're going to take a look at the Sound of Freedom and the massive attack that it's had thrown against it because, I don't know, because apparently child trafficking and protecting children is wrong now. I don't know where we're going as a society, and I know a lot of these mainstream media organisations are pushing this movie as a QAnon fantasy, apparently, and that child trafficking just doesn't exist anymore. So Ghislaine Maxwell never existed, Jeffrey Epstein never happened, all these pedophiles in politicians don't exist, all these people that have been arrested over the years for molesting children don't exist anymore. It's people like Jimmy Savile, that never happened. All that because a movie came out, Disney had been sitting on for years, did not want to release it, which is another story in its own. Why would Disney not want to release this movie? It has had massive box office appeal to people. It's grossing a lot of money at the moment. It's made more money than Indiana Jones on the same opening day, on the opening weekend. It has blown up, and the media is scrambling to label it as conspiracy theorist nonsense, and none of it actually happens. But we'll get into it here. Sound of Freedom, an anti-child trafficking fantasy fit for QAnon. Star Jim Caviezel, who plays a real-life anti-trafficking advocate Tim Ballard, has now been talking about adrenochrome and orgasm harvesting on his press tour. What the hell has that got to do with the movie being a QAnon fantasy? It's got nothing to do with it. Jim Caviezel's allowed to have his own thoughts on things. Adrenochrome, we're not going to get into any of that today. But what's this? This is Jezebel. So this is a obviously lefty organisation. This is not the only outlet that's been promoting this kind of nonsense, though. Rolling Stone has had another attack on this movie, and just about any mainstream media organisation is just saying that this movie is not worth watching. It's a QAnon conspiracy theory, and Jim Caviezel, who also helped produce The Passion of the Christ with Mel Gibson. Remember him? Australia, we let him go. America, you can have him, but we might take him back. Depends on this movie he might be creating soon. We'll see how that goes. But they are attacking it with everything they can because, I don't know, child trafficking bad unless you're a leftist. But never trust a pedophile. Doesn't quite have the ring of I'll be back or yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. But it suffices as a one-liner in Alejandro Medev's trial trafficking action flick Sound of Freedom, out now. It's said by Jim Caviezel playing a real-life anti-trafficking activist Tim Ballard. See, now they say it doesn't exist and child trafficking is a conspiracy theory, apparently. But it's literally a true story, and they say that in their article. Tim Ballard in the same sandpaper whispered the actors often don't play Batman. Whisper that actors often don to play Batman with some Liam Neeson intake and sprinkled in for flavour. The role actually gives Caviezel the opportunity to spout several extremely self-serious one-liners, like when he explains why he's in the line of work that he is, because God's children are not for sale. Okay, I haven't seen the movie yet. I cannot wait to see it. I am definitely going to go see it. Bit hard to see in Australia. But of course they're going to have one-liners in a catchy action flick with a male, I don't know, action star. Since when do they do not have that? I mean, look at any movie from Arnie to Rambo to what's those terrible car movies, Fast and Furious. It's family. Sorry if you like Fast and Furious, but probably go and get into a pod or something, like, seriously. Over 2 million children a year are being sucked into the deepest recesses of hell. At last, QAnon's camp appeal gets a cinematic exploration into pants. Few qualifications up front. The exploitation of children is a real problem that no one besides the exploiters wants. So, people like Jezebel, apparently. Ballard has testified at the House of Foreign Affairs subcommittee and shared footage of the sting operation portrayed in Sound of Freedom with the media of some footage also plays during the final moments of the movie. So they're saying it doesn't exist, and then there's actual footage of it existing and happening in the movie. Some of that footage also plays to the final moments of the movie. He was appointed to the Public-Private Partnership Advisory Council to End Human Trafficking by Donald Trump. Oh, there it is! There it is. Oh, Donald Trump, it's a Donald Trump movie. He's pro-Trump. You've got to stop him because it's all QAnon, blah, 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 blah. If being pro, like, anti-trafficking is, I don't know, pro-Trump, then sign everyone up, I suppose, because I don't know anyone who is pro-child trafficking besides child traffickers. However, the legitimacy of Ballard's organisation, Operation Underground Railroad, its claims of heroic rescues and trafficking victims, and its methodology have been questioned and investigated by journalists. The organisation has distanced itself from conspiracy theories groups that have been chosen to latch onto the child exploitation of trafficking as a vehicle and deceptively bolster their causes, i.e. QAnon. So they literally say that the organisation tries to distance itself from things like QAnon, and it doesn't have anything to do with QAnon, and then they go and say it's a QAnon movie. For fuck's sakes. That is, Ballard told the New York Times in 2020 that some of these theories have allowed people to open their eyes, and therefore now it's our job to flood the space with real information so that the facts can be shared. He tweeted that the year, with or without Wayfair, child trafficking is real and it is happening. And attached a video claimed that children are sold in the way to reference the Wayfair conspiracy theory, posting the furniture company's catalogue was in front of the... Oh, yeah, I remember that. Front selling children who shared its names on furniture. So there was like an IKEA... It was a company called Wayfair. There's a conspiracy theory about that. Where you go onto their website, you look at like industrial... furniture, I believe it was, like shelving, and they'd call the shelf or the couch setting like Sarah 1137 or something like that. It's just like a color coding system, like IKEA does it with their stuff, and people were saying that, oh, that's how you buy children. You go in there and you buy a couch, and it's like, it's a girl named Sarah, and she's, what would you say, 11 and 7 or some shit like that. It's stupid. It was a nutty conspiracy theory. Had a little bit of interesting to read about, but that's about it. And yeah, I wouldn't put much faith in it. Posting the furniture company's catalogue for selling children's furniture. And really, how distant can Ballard be in the extension of his organisation from the QAnon? Oh, so they literally, he says he doesn't have anything to do with QAnon. They want to stay away from QAnon. And they go, but how can he? Because they believe in child trafficking. So does QAnon. Because child trafficking fucking exists, obviously. Remember Epstein? Remember any of that? Like, all proven. We didn't know to who, because that'll never get released. Oh my God. QAnon is playing him with who's been promoting Sound of Freedom, has been using the press opportunity to peddle QAnon theories about adrenochrome and organ harvesting. Sound of Freedom was finished back in 2018, about 2 years after the Pizzagate put QAnon in public eye. Oh, so there we go again. So they just connect the two dots, because it was 2 years after Pizzagate happened. That's got nothing to do with the movie. It was shelved by Disney at the time. Now it's getting an indie release as a conservative through the hopes of breaking into mainstream. An interview with Steve Bannon from earlier this month, Caviezel went on it about length. The whole adrenochrome empire as driving demand for trafficking through, though Caviezel didn't direct Freedom. He's treating it as a passion project, appearing in its trailer, speak directly to the camera about its importance. The movie also concludes at a similar speech from Caviezel after its credits run, which he proclaims, I think we can make Sound of Freedom the Uncle Tom's Cabin of the 21st century slavery. He directs people to the QR code on screen, urging them to donate to the movie's Pay It Forward program to provide tickets for people who are interested in seeing it but cannot afford it. This movie has received endorsements from Elon Musk and Ivanka Trump. So literally trying to like blame it on Trump or blame it on QAnon somehow. We're like, oh, Ivanka Trump promoted it. It probably will come as no surprise that among Ballard's promotional rhetoric that an anti-trans sentiment. So he's hit the trifecta. This is a terrible article from a terrible person. The movie has received endorsement from Elon Musk and Ivanka Trump. So the Ballard's rhetoric and anti-trans sentiment. He claimed that the Daily Signal that trans ideology foisted on children is going to lead to what the pedophiles have been asking for. If you can consent to that, guess what? There's more fluid than gender age. He also has blamed trafficking on Biden's border policy. Well, that's completely true. If you have a weak border policy in the US and people are getting trafficked across the border, which we know happens in the tens of thousands every day, what are you saying there? Like, they're just saying, oh, it's a conspiracy theory that people are getting trafficked across the American border? That's just... that's not even stupidity. That's just willful ignorance and, like, outright lying. That's hold. Hey, Jim. That's a lot of vested interest. Ballard portrays himself as a superhero, and the movie is happy to follow suit. Oh my god, they really do not like this dude, do they? Who, after a supposed unverified stint in the CIA, moved to the DHS and then quit the job because per Sound of Freedom, he wasn't happy with the focus on merely hunting pedophiles. He needed to literally save the children. In Sound of Freedom, Mira Sorvo in the amounts to an extended cameo, which is still long enough to get the stink of this thing all over her. Far out, man. Play Ballard's wife to tell him, okay, so quit your job and you go rescue those kids. That's undoubtedly good for the soul. And it turns out the bank account of our raised $47.5 million in 2020. The most recent year for which they're having a go at how much money they raised to protect children. I'm finding it very hard. Whoever wrote this article, I'm finding it very hard by Rich Juzawak, whatever it is. I find it very hard to say that he's not a pedophile. I mean, if you hate a movie that promotes saving children from pedophiles and child traffickers, if you hate it that much that you're out there saying, oh, they made $20 million and they go... But what is wrong with you, bro? Like, are you a pedophile? Like, let's have a look. Just click on his name, see what kind of other... Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's a massive journalist, obviously. Jesus Christ. This dude, like, promoting pedophilia and actually going against people who are trying to save children. That's a bold statement. That's a bold strategy, Carton. Let's see if it pays off for him. Go out there, go and watch Sound of Freedom. I'm going to go hopefully watch it this weekend. It'll be an interesting watch. Apparently, it's pretty heartbreaking. Some of the movie you might be crying at it. Get out there. Even if you can't go and watch a movie, you have a couple of bucks. You can buy extra tickets for people, which they do not like either. Maybe go and have a crack at this rich guy on Twitter or something. See how he reacts to being called out for his disgusting article here. I don't know. We'll see how that goes for him anyway. If you can get out there and watch The Sound of Freedom, go out there and watch it. Might even do a commentary on it or something like that. I hope she goes to jail. Greta Thunberg charged for disobeying police after blocking oil tankers in Sweden. I highly doubt she'll go to jail because she's seen this left, I don't know, archangel or edifice or something like that. She's just blown up person that we should be listening to, and is a world leader, I've seen people refer to her as. This autistic teenager who has no idea how the world works, who grew up in a massive amount of wealth with her family, seems to be flown around the world doing all these sorts of protests, and absolutely loves making a scene and pretending to get arrested. But hopefully here in Sweden she will get charged and go to prison, which I doubt. I mean, come on. I can't see that happening, can you? The WEF wouldn't let that happen, would they? Greta Thunberg charged for disobeying police order after blocking oil tankers in Sweden. The Swedish climate activist has been charged for disobeying law enforcement. The Swedish prosecutors have charged Greta with Thunberg with disobedience to law enforcement in connection with the climate protests in Malmö last month. The activists detained with others as they stopped traffic at the oil terminal for the port of Malmö on the 19th of June. Local newspaper Sydvenskan, I don't know, reports a short statement by Swedish prosecutors on Wednesday to a young woman. She was charged with disobedience because she refused to comply with police orders to leave the scene during the protests. The statement did not identify the women. The Swedish Prosecution Authority spokeswoman Annika Colin confirmed that it was Greta. What punishment could Greta face? Whatever the word is, Skivitski, so that the 20-year-old Swedish activist could be called for trial in the end of the July. Prosecutor Charlotte Ottosson told the told the paper that the crime of disobedience is typically punishable with fines. Greta Media didn't immediately answer a request for comment. Greta Thunberg inspired a globalist youth movement demanding stronger efforts to fight climate change after staging weekly protests outside of Swedish Parliament starting in 2018. What happened in Malmö? Starting on June 15th, climate activists staged a multi-day protest in Malmö's port, led by the group of
Tikva's Pharmatikin Take Back the Future protesters physically blocked oil tankers in the harbour. I mean, if there's any time to test your brakes out now, it's not now. Come on. I mean, I know that oil tanker can run over those goddamn non-binary looking autistic people really easily. Why don't you just do it? I mean, how much... You're probably causing more CO2 emissions by making the truck sit there idling than letting it get to its destination. But you know, the climate crisis is already a matter of life and death for countless people, Greta tweeted during the protest. We choose not to be bystanders and instead physically stop the fossil fuels infrastructure. We're reclaiming the future. I wonder if these people all have mobile phones while they're getting photos taken. I'm sure she's got a... So they're pro-slavery. That uses CO2. How much CO2 emissions are made by just buying a cell phone, or oil in that paint, oil in that writing paper there, so they cut down trees. I'm sure that thing doesn't look like it uses shampoo. It looks like it just, I don't know, rolls in dust or something. Who knows? Maybe it's like a chinchilla. I don't know. But they use clothing. I'm sure they have cars, they have buses, they have trains that they use, all of which use CO2. And blocking traffic and causing the traffic to sit there and idle makes more CO2. Hypocritical idiots, really, basically. Children that should have their parents telling them to stop this nonsense and actually learn something. How about they get out there and use their time and effort to create something that would stop CO2 or reuse CO2, draw it in from the atmosphere. Maybe that's what we should be pushing forward as a human race, is to reuse CO2 and build things like... build stuff out of it, use carbon and basically use the main natural resource in the planet for something. I don't know. Capture carbon initiatives would be a fantastic idea. Blocking traffic and complaining about oil is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. And gluing yourself to the road like a lot of these protesters do is hilarious. I mean, I do enjoy watching them getting chipped out of the road and dragged off, and then they just get left on the street while they've got a giant chunk of bitumen glued to their hand. Police don't even arrest them anymore. They just go, there you go, you're out of the way now. And they go, oh, but you have to come and take this glue off me. And I'm like, no, we don't. That sounds like a fucking you problem, bro. The climate crisis is already blah blah blah. When the protesters were ordered to move allowed vehicles past, Greta was among those who refused. She was then dragged away by police. Earlier in the year, climate activists were briefly detained by police in Oslo during a protest against wind farms built on indigenous land in Norway. See, that's what I don't get, is they're building wind farms, which is what you want, which is what you promote. Greta Thunberg, you promote wind farms. And then you go and protest building of wind farms. You see how we're trying to wrap our heads around your idiotic ideas that don't make any sense? She was then also detained during the protests against the demolition of a coal village of the Lutzvarian in Germany in January. That was when she pretended to get arrested by German authorities. She is going to be in the news forever when she gets to our age and when she becomes some sort of mass political movement, which I guarantee you they will push for her. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes and does prison time, because you get a bit of street cred doing prison time, like Nelson Mandela, things like that, you know. I doubt she'll go to prison for this, but it would be interesting to see anyway. Would she go to prison in Sweden? That would basically be a holiday. We've seen Swedish prisons and places like that. They're not the most egregious places on earth. I've stayed in hotels that are worse than that. Mining camps are worse than that. So if she goes to prison for 6 months, I'm sure it won't affect her. It would actually probably give her a lot of street cred and a lot of bonus points, brownie points, or carbon emission points, as she might put it. But I don't know. The autistic little tard is very fun to listen to anyway. It's faking getting arrested half the time. I mean, look at the smugness on that face. Like, oh my god, these unwashed hippies. Oh, they got a token black guy. That's good. That's good. They got a token black guy. I don't know where the hell they found him in Sweden. Maybe he's maybe he's an immigrant. I don't know. But all these kids should be in school learning about actual real world problems, like, I don't know, anything else. But I thought Greta said we were supposed to be all drowned under the ocean by now. Maybe she was a little off with her predictions. Maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. And she seems to be quite smug every time she's in a photo. I don't know about you, but look, yeah, smug bitch. Anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.